Welcome back to Talk It Up with Taylor. Hello everyone. So right off the bat, if you are watching on YouTube, if you're not just listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you may know that I've expressed it before. I'm in the broadcast news media industry, whatever you want to call it. So a huge thing about broadcast are the visuals, and if it's not for the visuals, then it would just be radio or magazines or stuff like that where you're not really showing visuals. So I got off the phone with my friend McKay, and you've heard me talk about McKay before, and if not, you may have seen the logo that he sent to me. It's actually on Talk It Up, wtaylor.weebly.com. So it was a purple logo with some yellow in it, and he made a logo. We'll get into that, and we're actually going to, looking forward, have an episode with McKay. But we were brainstorming ideas today, and I got on and I was like, I'm so sorry, I look drowsy. I just woke up from a nap. That early morning shift gets to you. In fact, I saw an Instagram post, and I had to repost it because it was Buddy the Elf, and it was like morning news people, and it was like, how much sleep did you get, or are you tired? And it's like, I got a full 40 minutes, I feel great. And I related to that a little too much, you could say. But anyways, going back to the visuals, usually I'm wearing the makeup, I'm in nicer clothes, I'm still in that whole broadcast thing. But I was thinking about it, and I was talking to McKay, and I was like, the whole point of Talk It Up is getting vulnerable and showing these authentic sides to ourselves, the things going beyond the surface. And so what you might also notice on the website is that we've changed it from stories beyond the surface to unscripted voices beyond the surface. And I felt like that was a lot more fitting. Fergie, what's up? Anyway, so you're gonna see, this is what I usually look like when I come home from work. When I started going into the news industry, I was like, we're gonna look fancier, we're gonna be in these nice outfits, we'll have the makeup, we're gonna look a little bougie here and there, bougie on a budget. Bougie on a budget. However, this is typically what I look like. There is no better feeling coming home from work, wiping off that makeup, feeling fresh on the skin, and then just putting on sweats. Your girl is cold most of the time too, so I've got a jacket, a flannel, a blanket at work. We always represent Michigan State. Go green again. I'll say it time and time again because we love it. So she's messing around with stuff. But as you'll see, we don't have any makeup on. You see some of the acne. We'll point it out. We'll get vulnerable here. And we have the shiny face. We're part Asian, we're half Chinese, so we got that nice Asian oily skin. It keeps it young, so it will be a blessing in the future. As of now, we deal with the acne, the breakouts, and the oily skin. But we are, even though we break out, we're breaking free from that, and we're just gonna get vulnerable for a bit. We're in the sweats. This is one of my favorite t-shirts, Fenway Park. There's no R, it's an H, Fenway Park. You gotta give it a little accent right there. Anyway, so talking with McKay, I was like, no, you're right. Like, the whole point about Talk It Up is showing your true self. And it's funny because I am in front of a camera like every single day. And at first I used to get super, super nervous. I mean, for the record, a lot of people get nervous in front of the camera. They get very self-conscious, insecure. They start pointing out their flaws. They're like, I'm going to delete this picture, put a filter on this. We're going to do some edits around, and we're going to post our best to the social media and only show our best sides. And that's not what Talk It Up is about. Talk It Up is obviously getting into the deeper stuff, showing our vulnerable sides. We're humans. We are not perfect. And if you think you are perfect, good for you. Good for you. However, we're not all perfect, so it's great to make mistakes. Fergie's definitely not perfect. She can be a menace at times. We actually watched a little cat movie thing with her. It was like an hour long on Netflix. I think it was called The Secret Life of Cats, or Into the Minds of Cats. Do not quote me on that. That could definitely be wrong, and I'll try to post something on it. But we said we would get better at posting the references we talk about, so something I wrote down was saying versus doing, and one of those, Talk It Up, getting vulnerable, rebranding ourselves. I always ask, who are you? Okay, get into those deeper questions and thoughts and dig deeper into yourself. Not only ask people who they are, but who are you, so you can dig deep and show people your true self, because it does get exhausting putting on this whole facade, this mask of I'm perfect all the time. No, okay, I can bet you most of the times, McKay and I were saying, you sit on the couch, you're watching Netflix, you got your hair in a bun, ladies, you don't have a bra on, you're just whatever. You guys, you probably, we're not going to get into it, but you know, everyone bums around. You're not perfect. People are lazy these days, and so you have to address it. Just be authentic with it, be transparent, and so here we are. We're just gonna whatever, you know what I mean? Anyways, so the whole change in the rebranding of unscripted voices, I realized that when I have a script, I definitely put on more of the whole reporter. We fix the posture, we get into the whole deep, serious reporter voice. But my most favorite times reporting is actually when there's no script. It's when it's all ad-libbing. And I used to freak out when it came to ad-libbing because I was like, I just have to talk and make it up on the spot. And it's like, we do this on the daily to ourselves and to Fergie and in the mirror. So let's just be natural. That's the time where we're most natural. We do use a lot of hand gestures. Again, hence why I like using YouTube and showing that whole visual portion of it. But of course, if you're not happy with this, to each their own, whatever. I'm not trying to impress you. So go listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, if you will. However, if you do enjoy the whole visuals and you need something to look at, if you're just a visual person, I'm a visual person. And I think the way that I express, I mean, here we are using the hand gestures again. It helps me talk, and so that definitely adds a whole different layer. I think I may or may not have brought up I did pom-pom in the past, so that was all about doing expressions. You would do like a kissy face and be like, or whatever. That was a terrible one. Anyways, here we are in the natural, so take it or leave it. That's up to you. I don't care. But it does go back into, it makes me think the whole choice of what we pay attention to. It's your choice and what you pay attention to. That's just a little side note. But I did want to get into the unscripted voices beyond the surface. I feel like that's really important. Anytime I am talking with someone, interviews, whatever, my best conversations, again, this is kind of how Talk It Up got started. My best conversations with the people where we get deep and I figure out who they are as people. Fergie's like a leapfrog right now. What is she knocking over? We're going to get back on track. The best conversations are the ones off camera. You turn off the camera, you point it away from them. You're like, we're all clear, you're good, you did great. And they're like, woo, thank God. And then they start getting into it. And you're like, well, hold on. I know there's this whole side to you. I'm seeing it right now. Like, open up. So one of the things I try to do during interviews, it's not just asking the questions and getting an answer. You try to, at least I try to, have a conversation, a little banter, if you will, to put the person more at ease. And then also I'm like, hey, we're having a conversation. The camera is just so invested in our conversation that it's looking at us. Other than that, you're looking at me, I'm looking at you, we're just talking here. The other thing is, even when I'm not talking to someone, if it's just me and there's someone walking in the background, even if we're not live and I'm standing around doing some hooligan thing, just like la whatever, they'll come walking by and then they'll notice there's a camera and they like pause and they like bug eye freak out and they like go past like this and like scurry on by. And me and my photographer are always like, you're good, we're not live, the camera's not on, do as you please, go on with your day, have a great one. It's interesting to me though how many people shelter themselves. It's like they're afraid to show people themselves like in their real way, just their day-to-day. They're not even doing anything bad, they're just walking on the sidewalk. And I'm like, unless you're not supposed to be here and you just committed a crime and we're like exposing you right now, like you're fine. And I know a lot of people that I know and people I'm related to, they understandably understand, People just don't like being on the camera, right? I brought up cancel culture before. There's a lot of great people in this world, and there's a lot of not so great people in this world. And I know we've all experienced it at different levels. And yeah, there are people out there who try to get you and make you look bad. But I think there's this whole stigma that the news is always trying to make you look bad. And it's like, well, we're just trying, again, teach their own. Everyone does it differently, okay? I know that. Every industry, every person is different. We're just trying to get the facts. We're just trying to talk to you. And a lot of the times, if you don't like a story the way it's done, it's because you didn't open up and voice your opinion. So this whole thing about unscripted voices is not being afraid to share and express your voice. I feel like I'm an expressive person, and there's times where I'm not expressive, and I get really like in my own shell, and I'm like, we're just not going to share this part of me. I'll be expressive in everything else, but not this. And it's like, okay, let's just open up. Again, we're all human beings, and again, the whole point of Talk It Up is to gain that awareness, gain that understanding, and seeing it from these different perspectives. So what I am really interested and excited to share with you all is this conversation with McKay that we will eventually have. And today was just a little brainstorm session. And eventually in the next couple of weeks, we will have an episode to air on the podcast for you guys. And I mean, just a quick glance, there's a whole page here of just ideas. So something else that when reporting, we're just going to get into this whole vulnerable, authentic Taylor, who she is off the camera, off the social media, when we're not trying to put on this whole facade, right? And it's not even like trying to put on this facade, but we don't really show the whole natural self in the flesh. Here we are, example A. So a lot of people, they'll freak out and they're like, well, what questions are you going to ask us? And I'm like, there's a lot of content here. Let's just let it flow, Let the conversation just do its thing. And also, it's only 2 minutes long. We have 2 minutes to do this live interview. 2 minutes when you're talking flies by. 2 minutes when you're standing in front of the camera looking into the black hole and you're just like, doing one of these, kind of bobbing along. I do a lot of head nods. I know, I'm very aware of it, and I try to make it subtle. And I look back, and I'm like, it just looks like we're in the club or something, like, Anyway, this is the real me, so, I mean, here we are. We're just going to open it up. But a lot of them, they freak out, and I'll be like, all right, they're going to ask me a question. I will answer that question and guide it into these questions, okay? These are the bullet points I would like to talk about. It's not always going to go that way. But here's the idea, the brainstorm, the outline, the rough outline. And then my photographer will look at them and be like, she says that and she's going to do something completely differently. Not because she's trying to trick you or anything. That's just how her brain works, and it really does depend where the conversation goes. You have the 2 minutes, so if you end up talking longer on something, she's going to have to cut out and adjust, be on her toes, and be like, nope, we're going to switch it to this. But it's never something we trick you on. Again, we're talking to the experts. So it's like you, if anything, would know it better than I do. I'm just the little guider over here, the conductor. So, I don't know. I think it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Definitely being on the mornings I've talked about before, and being on camera, interestingly enough, being broadcasted is weird because, again, I used to be so nervous when I started. I was like, so many people are going to be watching, like if I mess up, and it's like people mess up all the time. Again, people just get afraid walking past a turned off camera, let alone being on. So if you mess up and they come at you, it's like, don't come at me. And a lot of us, it's like, if you can't do it, I've seen a lot of people, and I'm guilty as charged. I've seen other people do things. I'm like, well, why'd you do it this way? Like, what? And I'm like, okay, but in reality, if I were in your position doing that, you would do it a lot better than me. So who am I to judge? And that's kind of my message right now. Who are you to judge if you cannot do it yourself? And if you can do it yourself, I applaud, well done. but be understanding. And instead of judging someone and being hard on the person and bringing more toxicity into society, it's like, let's tone it down and relax and help each other understand there's so much competition. I think competition is great in growth, but competition isn't great when it becomes toxic because you're trying to be better than someone. You're putting someone else down or exposing them, making them look bad because there's that competition. Was it really a fair competition then if you're making someone look bad? We see it in politics all the time. That's all I'm gonna say. And that's why politics are politics these days. So there is that. I'm looking at my notes right now. That's what we typically do when we have a brain fart and we pause and we're like, we just rambled on. So actually we rambled on for like 15 minutes here. We didn't really take a pause, and we've gotten through like everything we wanted except for like one thing that I'm like, I feel like this is one of the main things why I'm like, I also really want to express. But we're going to take this off because I'm like sweating now. We go through like these flashes. I think I've brought it up before. I've talked to my doctor. I'll be like, hey, I have like freezing cold hands. When I give people a handshake, they like jump and take their hand back, and it's like they just touched something or experienced something that was like horror to them. And they're like, your hands are so cold. And I'm like, I know. And they're like, they are so cold. I'm like, I know. They're my hands. I know they are very cold. And then sometimes they're a blessing. If it's very hot outside or someone like just hurt themselves and it's like a little ice pack on the go. So you win some, you lose some in life, and it all just depends on the situation. But what I wanted you to get into of why I also feel like there's this more free Taylor right now, and not like a free Britney situation, but whatever. I just feel more free. So me and my family recently went to Hawaii. Also a reason why we've been holding off on talking up, because there really is a lot going on. We also, like, this is a hobby. It's not our full-time job. It's all for the fun. Hence the unprofessionalism. Is that unprofessionalism? Unprofessional? Yikes. See, we're not always good with our words. You see the ukulele in the back. So that is like a $20 Amazon ukulele. And I got it I want to say junior year of college. So I used to play guitar back in the day. We also used to take some singing lessons back in the day on top of all the sports we've done. My parents were like, you're just going to do all these different activities. Here we go. She's a beaut. My new uke. You see the Hawaiian Islands. I'm really happy. It smells. You might think I'm weird. I like smelling things. It adds an extra thing. That's pretty. So she is my new ukulele. We used to play guitar. And my hands, another thing about the hands, they're small. So trying to reach certain chords and majors are really difficult. And so I don't even think we fully play the ukulele the right way, but it sounds nice and we can get some across. But more and more people, I did just like a 5-second clip and posted it to my Instagram and Facebook. Just, share it for the relatives, share it for the friends. Here's your whatever post every once in a while. Got to keep you guys updated. And they're like, I didn't even know you did this. And it's like, yeah, I guess I never, even the people that I am around, if I do start singing, they're like, oh, you sing. And I was like, yeah, I do. I just don't ever do it in front of people. I get weird, antsy. If you can't tell right now, I'm kind of just like squirmy about it. I don't know. I just don't. I get weird about it. So if we start getting red in the face and a little choked up, we're gonna mess up. Again, we're human. That's why. So I don't even know what song to play right now. Okay, we'll do I'm Yours. Well, you done me and you bet I felt it. Try to be chill, but you're so hot that I melted. Fell right through the cracks. Now I'm trying to get back. Before the cool done run out, I'll be giving it my bestest. Nothing's gonna stop me but divine intervention. Reckon it to get my turn to win some or learn some, but I won't hesitate no more, no snippet. We're not gonna waste your time and play the whole thing. But I feel like, again, it's easier. I feel like I'm just talking to myself right now. Like, if I had someone here with me, I would get very weird about this. And I feel like even when I do post this, I'm just gonna be like, moment of truth, here we go. Send, publish, here we go. Send it to the void. But yeah, that's the whole thing, is growing on myself and hopefully trying to inspire others to be more of themselves and to be more of you. I want you to be more of you, but also better yourself, because we all know this isn't like, unless you're under a rock, and I feel like even if you are under a rock, you kind of know the chaos going around. But Hawaii, so going there was interesting because the culture, the aloha vibes, the Hawaiian time, that's a lot more relaxed, laid back. It wasn't go, go, go like we usually are, the stressed, amped up Taylor. So it's a little bit more relaxed, and it was down to earth, and I felt like I was able to reconnect with myself and my family and just share these experiences that I am beyond grateful for. You saw the beautiful views, but you also experienced that culture with the people who opened up, and it was really cool seeing a down-to-earth side of humanity. Of course, it had its homelessness, and it had its certain things that weren't as developed as certain areas, but hey, everywhere you go is going to be a little different. Seeing the tourism side of things down there was interesting, but also how they tell the tourists, like, hey, this is our land, and not just our land, but it's like nature's land, so let's preserve it and take care of it. Because one of the things we did was scuba diving, and it was beautiful seeing the marine life, seeing part of the alive coral reef. You would see like these neon blues and oranges, yellows and pinks, and just like tiny parts of it on the coral reef, and you were like, oh, that is so pretty. And like, obviously don't touch it because you don't want to ruin it. And then you saw the rest of it that was dead. Protect this earth, please, because that was just a whole other side of being like, this is beauty, and this is what happens when we don't appreciate. Well, I understand people appreciate the beauty and they want to touch and they want to have it for themselves, but that's like greedy. It's like, just appreciate it and its habitat and look from afar, snap a pic or two, or like more than 1,000 pictures and videos is what I did. So, yeah, you know, I mean, it's our major, right? I went into taking pictures and videos, so don't hold me against it, whatever. The other thing down there, we talked about the culture, experiences, nature, just like the sense to live. Like, I felt alive. Like, we jumped off this 30-foot cliff, and I love thrills. Like, roller coasters, count me in. But we were standing on top of this 30-foot cliff, and you jump into the water, and my knees, I felt them like wanting to give out. And I was like, the longer we're standing up here, the more I feel like I'm gonna fall off in a bad way, and it's just gonna be an even worse situation. So just do it. Just jump off. Yeah, you're gonna be in the air for some time, but it's like almost better than just standing here looking down. Like, yeah, if you just kind of look around, the views are beautiful. You look down, you're like, geez, just jump. Just jump, you're okay. You had other people jump before you, like, you know you're good, you know how to swim, like, as long as you don't hit a rock, and I'm small, so other people would have hit it before me, you don't dive in, you have some common sense, like, come on. Although I will say, I've heard more times recently that common sense is uncommon, and I feel like people can agree to that. So anyways, the other part was independence. Even though I was with my family, there were times where I would go on the beach or just kind of go out and start playing ukulele or figure out who I was as a person, and just finding more of my interests. Again, getting down to earth and not being so stressed up here, and just being like more in tune with myself and what's around me felt really great. So I guess the last thing I want to get to, because we just rambled on, and I think we're only going to do like one cutout in here. Usually, you know, we have a lot of like, if you watch, you have the visual portion. You know that we kind of do the little cross dissolves because we mess up or we do this or that, whatever. Authenticity. Just be you. If you're going to be anything, be yourself. Again, why try to be a main character in anyone else's life? The only person who can truly be you is yourself. You're going to have other people maybe trying to even be like you, and there's no other person who can be you better than yourself. So that's my message. If you want to keep listening to Talk It Up with Taylor, if you want to be a guest, you have ideas, you want to check out the website and all of the other podcasts, you can go to Spotify, you can go to Apple Podcasts, and then also go to the website, of course, talkitupwtaylor.weebly.com. I hope you gained a lot from this. If not, like, relate a little bit, and hopefully you're inspired of some sort. But aloha vibes. That may sound cheesy. That's who I am, so deal with it. All right, have a great one, and I will see you guys soon.